Welcome to the P.T.S.D. podcast with your host, comedian and military veteran, Bernard the Laugh Therapist Hines, where we discuss P.T.S.D., processing traumatic situations differently, and give you tools to help you overcome the stigma of seeking help. If you're ready to be inspired, then welcome to the Stigma-Free Zone. Here's your host, the Laugh Therapist himself, Bernard Hines.
Hello, everyone. I am your host, Bernard Hines, a.k.a. the Laugh Therapist, and welcome to the P.T.S.D. Processing Traumatic Situations Differently podcast. Here, we try to inform, enlighten, and become advocates for one another as we learn more productive ways to process our trauma. Always remember, as a therapist, I am not licensed. I am only medicated. Welcome to the Stigma-Free Zone, y'all. Listen, thank y'all for joining us, y'all. We got a great show on today. I have a lovely young lady, y'all, who has been blazing the trails. As she says, she's coming out the starting blocks really, really fast. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for my guest on today, Miss Mira Brady. Hello, Mira.
Hi, how are you?
Fine. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming on the podcast and being productive and dealing with all my situations before we got started. You know, these pipes be busting and you just gotta
roll with it.
But I thank you. I thank you for hanging in there with me.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me.
No problem. So, Miss Mira, please tell us a little bit about you. What is your background? You know, are you married, your family, the educational background? You know, because I tell people now, the people I bring on, okay, they are licensed and everything. I'm just not the one that's licensed. So I bring
medicated works.
So go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my name is Mira Brady. I'm from Houston, Texas. I am a 3-time graduate of Prairie View A&M University, best HBCU.
Okay.
My bachelor's is in biology and chemistry, so there's a little bit of that medicine. And I was a pharmacy technician for 10 years back at Eckerd's, Walgreens, Walmart. I have 2 masters. One is in counseling, and then the other one is in educational administration. I'm a current lead high school counselor at a high school in Fort Bend. Personal life, I'm married to Ryan Brady.
Okay.
We've been married 12 years. He is a disabled veteran. Did 2 tours in Iraq, and we celebrate 13 years in February.
All right. Thank you for his service, and thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
Listen, y'all, we have Miss Mira Brady on, and y'all, she has an awesome organization. I'm gonna call it an organization, but maybe you can call it what you call it. It's called Milso to Milso. It means military spouse to military spouse, correct?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay, that's good. So explain a little bit about that.
Sure. So I was joining some of the Facebook groups for military spouses, and I was interested in seeing some of the things that, just that side of the world. So when Ryan and I got married, he had already done his 2 tours, and he was already, back in the civilian setting. So I didn't get to see a whole bunch of what some of the military spouses see when they're married and their husband is in active duty. So some of that deployment issues, some of the triggers that their spouses may do, I never was able to see that. And so when I was in that Facebook group, it taught me a lot. And I was like, okay. So then when I went on to work on my LPC at Lamar, we had an assignment, and the first assignment was, to be a licensed professional counselor. I'm sorry. The first assignment was, what is your target group and who do you want to target? Okay. And I immediately knew that I wanted to work with military spouses. I've been down to the VA a couple of times with my husband, when he has the pain management treatments, and the way some of the things that I saw was just like, okay, we need help here. Okay. And then even in seeing some of the posts from the Facebook groups, one of the posts was, and I won't, go into too much detail, was a spouse asking about 4th of July and how do people handle fireworks, if it's a trigger for their spouse.
Correct.
And I was like, okay, so there is care for the veteran, but what about specific care specifically targeted to the
Correct.
military spouse that has to help her significant other
Hmm.
process some of the things that they're experiencing? And from there, Milso to Milso was born.
Wow. That's a great. We thank you. We
Oh,
thank you because most of
absolutely.
the time it seems like the spouses are left out.
Right. And that's why I have the hashtag, because when they serve, we serve,
Come on
you
now.
know? So when they're taking care of kids, they're moving, taking care of
That's
finances,
right.
preparing things. So I can only pour my energy into that. And
Correct.
a lot of that comes with anxiety because you're dealing with the unknown.
That's
You
right.
know, I'm part of Alpha Lambda Psi Military Spouses Sorority.
I know them
Um,
well.
Yes, with visionary Tanya Rankin. And I know that there are some, when you're waiting on orders, like where are we going next? And
Hmm.
just think about, if you are not able to process anxiety, what if
Correct.
you have kids and you have kids that are actually having to go from school to school? What supports are at the schools to make sure that those kids are able to fit in and find their niche, find their group, because they may not be there for long.
Correct. And like my kids, when I went to war, they was in high school. So you in high school trying to, function in high school and get through high school, and your parent in war. So
Right.
that was very raw. Yeah,
Right.
that
And so as a high school counselor, my goal is mainly towards I think we should actually be called academic advisors in my role,
okay.
because at a high school, my goal is to get you graduated. So if you
Mm,
have an issue, I will be able to talk with you, of
correct.
course, but there's not a lot of follow through and follow up to get you through that trauma, because we have mental health counselors at the school. So my goal is to be able to, I don't want to just talk to you about graduation, because think about it. If my dad is at war, I'm not worried about graduating.
Come
You know, I need to be able to cope and
right.
and process some of the things that I'm dealing with as being a child of someone that serves their country.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. Listen, what are some of the issues you have encountered when talking to military spouses?
The main two that I have, like you said, I'm fresh out the blocks. So the main two that I've dealt with is deployment and the anxiety that comes around there. And I have spoken to one child younger, not high school, just about never being able to fit in, not being able to fit in because of the, moving.
Correct.
And then
So,
in another country at that part.
mm, wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good. So dealing with that, do you focus mainly on that, or do you try to take whatever comes, whatever the spouse brings? You're not like specialized in one area.
No, the main
Okay.
one that I try to use is the cognitive behavior. And
Okay.
that's because it helps in
Yeah.
changing how you think. So
Okay.
if you remember, one of the girls from Sister is going through a divorce right
Correct.
now.
Correct.
And if you listen to her, how she's processing it, she's not it's not she's not in mourning. It's not a day, it's a celebration. It was good. It happened. We had our boys, and now I'm on to the next. But she wasn't and everybody processes it differently. So let me
That's why.
make
That's what.
sure that I
That's
I
what
say
it's
that
called. That is called
we
processing
right, right,
traumatic
we process
situations
it
differently.
differently.
That's what we
But
do.
the way that she was able to look at it and say, hey, this divorce is not a failure,
Hmm.
it's a part of my life, and it's a chapter. And I had this, we were together, we had these two amazing kids. And just recently, they posted they were together at Christmas. And
Hmm.
she was like, family, this is my family.
Right.
It's still going to be my family. So when you talk about cognitive behavior, it's changing it. Like, even, and I have to coach myself, because sometimes,
Okay.
this is my first podcast, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. What if everything goes wrong? And I had to stop and say, what if everything goes
Thing goes
right?
right. Come on now. It's
And so
all
we
in
have
how
to do
you
that.
look at it. That's
It's how
right.
you look at it. What if
Perspective.
everything goes right?
That's right. That's why when I deal with my PTSD, my best friend told me, said, man, sometimes if people was to see you, they wouldn't even think you had PTSD, because I try to process it to the point that, hey, I'm gonna be as normal as I can. Oh,
Hmm.
what is
Hmm.
normal?
Right.
So
Exactly.
yeah, so
Exactly.
that is a great thing. And listen, y'all, this is what we're talking about. People
Hmm.
processes trauma totally different than the next person. Like when kids parents get divorced in the military, 9 times out of 10, the one spouse moves to another state.
Hmm.
So now the child got to worry about going back and forth and back, And if it's in the same area, you go to dad for a weekend, mom
Mhm.
for, but if you
Absolutely.
in another state, it's
Yeah,
trauma.
the dynamics have truly changed. And another one that I use is the ABCDE. And so the A
Okay.
is we activating the event. Okay, so what's actually happened?
Mm,
B, so if we go back to the divorce with the example that we were using, that's what activated it. What
okay.
is the belief? Well, sometimes people believe that a divorce is a failure. Well, no, what are the consequences of that? This is how I feel, like nobody's going to take me seriously. They're going to think I'm a failure at this. They're going to, okay, well, let's dispute that. And that's where the D comes in. Let's dispute these
Mm,
beliefs that you have. And then
okay.
once you start disputing those beliefs, you have to come to terms with this is where you are, and how can we change how you process, how you're processing what's happening to you, and see the bright side of the thing, the bright side.
Wow.
What can I take from this? What can I take
Good.
from this?
Ah, man, that is good. Listen, y'all, if you just joined us, we are talking to Miss Mira Brady, the how can I say it? The inventor of military to military spouses. Okay, because they serve, we serve. Wow,
Absolutely.
wow, that is good. That is good. Listen, now take off your therapy hat, your therapist hat,
Okay.
and all that. From a military spouse point of view, what challenges did you face? Because I know with you being in that therapist hat, you thinking, you always thinking the therapist, but as that spouse, what
The
phrase did
first the first one is just etiquette. Okay. And
mm,
let me tell you what I mean by
come on
that.
now.
So when my husband and I first met, I'm like, okay, he's a Marine, he cute.
Okay.
So we talking, and I asked a question that I'm ashamed to say, but transparency, right?
Okay, yeah.
Have you ever shot anybody? That's what I asked him.
Oh, oh my goodness.
You
Right.
see how you
Hey,
cringed? You see how
yes.
you cringed? The
Yes.
etiquette was just not there. And
Correct.
so his response was, have you ever shot anybody? And I was like, that was not a good question to ask.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
that let me know about just the respect, how delicate it is.
Correct.
It's very delicate, and so I want to make sure that I respect that I respect his experiences.
Okay.
The next
Hold,
thing.
hold on. Let me go back
Sure.
to that. Let me go
Mhm.
back to that. If
Sure.
there's military spouses listening right now, listen to what she said. Respect his experiences. I
Mhm.
like that because there are a lot of people that say, "Well, I went to Iraq 4, 5 times. You only went 2 or 3." It doesn't matter.
Correct.
Experience is experience. I like that. Thank you.
Uh-huh. I definitely had to get that. And then again, I want to just remind everyone that I'm only speaking from my experiences. I
There
don't
you
want to
go.
take from anyone else's. The next one is just about the challenge is just how stoic he is, and and to get it done. Like I'm not gonna. Let me give you an example.
Give me an example.
If I have a new student that's coming, I have all seniors because we're by cohort, right? And
Okay.
they have no records, which means I have no idea what class to place you in, but I got to get you graduated in May. That is like a counselor's worst nightmare. And so when
Mm,
I'm coming home, I'm like, Ryan, I got this kid, and da 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 da. He was like, okay, so what are you gonna do about it?
mm.
Okay, so what are you gonna do? So it's sometimes when you want to vent and somebody to be like, for real, they came
Yeah.
with no records, man. What you supposed to do? How you
Yeah.
supposed to do that? How you going? Why would they come with no records? Like, what was they thinking? What was they mama
Oh
thinking?
my
Who
goodness.
brought them? For real,
Right.
they ain't gonna get no credit because they came
Right.
this close to the end of the year, and that's not what I'm gonna get. That's
Okay.
not what I'm gonna
Okay.
get. And so
Okay.
that's one of the things where I had to learn. Like, if I want emotion, I'm gonna call my sister Kay. And she gonna be like, girl, she gonna give me
You
everything
know
I
what?
need.
That is oh my goodness. That is good. Expecting something from somebody that you know you're not going to get. So now you frustrated. No,
Yeah,
if you already know, wow. See, that is you are dropping some nuggets right now
yeah,
because I'm
yeah.
telling you, my family know I don't talk on the phone all the time.
Hmm.
I'd rather
Hmm.
text you all day. We ain't got time to talk. I hate talking on the phone. I hate using my emotions. All that.
Wow. Wow.
That is good.
That sounds exactly like my husband, there's this TikTok that I sent to him, and it's this girl saying, "I've called you for 13 times. I've called you 13 times, 13 times. What if I had an accident?" Da, 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 da. And I sent that to him, and he just sent back the little emphasis emoji on it. Like, I can't even get a response from that.
Hey,
I'm trying my hardest, but what, like you said, it would just bring more frustration.
there you
So if I
go.
know I want to have a solution, then he's the person I'm going to. But I know
Correct.
if I want to vent, and sometimes it's okay to vent, and I
Correct.
want to
Correct.
get those emotions out, and I want somebody to feel their pain with me, then
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna call my
Mm-hmm.
sister and be like,
Yeah,
"Hey, girl." But it's about knowing. So between just
that is
the
good.
stoicness we're gonna handle it, we're gonna
Right.
fix it, we're not gonna whine about it, we're not gonna cry about it. What do we need to do
That's good. That's good.
between that and just having that etiquette? Because I'm telling you, when I thought that was all gonna be our last date when I asked him.
And see, I want to ask you about that too. How, okay, do you feel if this happens to you, do you
Okay.
feel that when he's talking to another military person, he can get excited and show them emotions?
You
Because I
know,
go ahead, go ahead.
no, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
Because I know when we talking to another military person, we feel like you get us. You know,
Mhm,
they get us. They understand. But if I'm talking to a person who has not served, I don't care if it is my spouse.
mhm.
Sometimes I prefer like, look, you don't get it because my wife gonna ask that extra question that I don't want. I haven't thought that far.
I think you are absolutely right, and I say that because he was telling me, I don't know where he was. He was like, "Babe, I saw such and such," and I'm like,
Hmm.
"I served with him," and da 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 da. And I was like, "Oh, so you can, okay, okay. I get you, I get you."
Right,
So
right.
yeah, I think there is like some type of unspoken,
Yes.
But
Brotherhood
again, exactly, a
or
brotherhood,
sisterhood, hood, military
sisterhood,
hood. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. But that goes back to my first challenge was just that etiquette and understanding.
Okay. That's good. That is good. Listen, y'all, we talking to Miss Mira Brady, y'all. She is an awesome young lady with military spouse to military spouse, y'all. It's a military spouse counseling service, okay? And her tagline is because they serve, we serve. That is good. That is good. Now, how does your faith and your values play a part in what you do?
My value in terms of my faith, I love the Lord, and I
Hmm.
know the Lord loves me.
All right.
So everything that I do, when it works, it's works, and that's because it's meant to be. There was no stress when it came to what my vision was going to be,
Okay.
and so I had to allow my steps to be ordered.
Hmm.
And when your steps are ordered, then the pieces, they all fit together.
Okay. All
Now,
right.
in terms of my values is that everyone deserves to be happy and healthy mentally, because that's first and foremost.
Correct.
If my mental is not okay,
Okay.
my physical is not going to be okay. I'm not going to have because exercising is mental.
Yes, it
So
is.
if I'm not okay, then I'm not going to want to do anything physical.
Mhm.
When I go to work, when I have to process things, I'm not going to process them at the speed or at the accuracy in which I would, because I'm going to be troubled by something else that's going on. And I
Correct.
even have this talk with my 12-year-old. He's at a STEM school. And
Okay.
so before he moved there, grades K through 6, all the way up to sixth grade normally starts middle school, but I didn't want to change his school. Was at
Mhm.
a small private school, and it was all on the elementary campus. But now he's at a STEM school, and
Okay.
I even have those talks with him because he was dealing with anxiety because he was going to
Yes.
a new school,
Yeah.
because that school started at 6th grade. And
Okay.
so he was going to the 7th, and he's like, "Mom, everybody's already going to have friends.
Mm.
Everybody's going to be, everything." So I was like, "Okay, well, this is what we need to do. We need to find some different," this was like that summer before, "we need to find some different organizations, some different programs that feed into that school, and over the summertime I'll put you in some of those camps, so
I
that
love it.
way you can start meeting people."
I
But
love it.
these are talks that we have to have. Anytime that there's something wrong, he has to let me know, because guess what, if you don't let me know, I can't help you.
Correct.
And so on the first day of school, he wasn't worried. He knew
Okay.
people. He knew his way around the building. He just had to get to he just had to get familiar with having 8 different teachers where he'd only had 4.
Mhm.
But in terms of, as kids, you're not worried about that. You worried about who am I gonna sit with at lunch?
There you go. Yep. The
Who am
small
I
stuff,
gonna
right?
talk to? The
Mhm.
small stuff, right?
Correct.
And so, in order to try to shield that, it's solution focused. Let's fix it. What can I do? So I'm getting on the internet and I'm trying to find things that feed into that school. And then, actually, he just went to the mall for the first time
Okay.
a couple of weeks ago with his friends, and I was I was so nervous.
Hey,
I I
when you
sat in the little
going to the
cafeteria
mall,
area.
yeah, going to the mall. Oh, okay. Yeah, you have.
Yeah,
Hey, you listen. In this day and age, being hyper vigilant is what it is.
right,
If you're
right.
not hyper vigilant in this day and time, something's wrong.
And he doesn't know I was trailing him through the mall. I was following the transactions he made on his debit card.
Hey, but he didn't know. He
He
didn't.
didn't know.
He
He
didn't
didn't
know.
know. He
That's
didn't
good.
know.
That's
Yeah. So
good.
to know that he went from just being like scared to like walk in the building to like, hey mom, can I hang out with some friends? Can we go to the mall? Can we do some things? It's been a huge confidence builder.
That's awesome.
But I'm glad I was able to kind of help him navigate through that.
Now, what part of the country you say you was in again?
Texas. I'm in Houston, Texas.
Houston, Texas. Yeah,
H-Town.
yeah,
Home of the
yeah.
Astros.
Yeah, yeah,
Them
you gotta,
those.
you gotta be careful when you're down there in Houston, because you gotta be.
Home of the Astros. Don't
Yeah,
do
that's right.
that.
That's
Don't
right.
do that.
That's right.
We
Be no trash cans, but we ain't gonna go there right now. We ain't gonna go there right now. Hi. Anyway,
hey, them winning that series got me an extra day off of work, so I'll take it.
that'll work. That'll work.
For the parade
Anything
I
to get a
didn't
day
go
off of
to,
work.
but congrats, Astros. Thank you. You did an amazing job, and I enjoyed my day off. Let's do it again next year.
Oh, let's play the violin. This is where you play the violin. Now, listen. You said earlier that when you met your husband, was he already out the military?
yes, he
That's
was.
how. Yeah, that's how me and my wife. That's how me and my wife was, and I truly think it's harder for that spouse to meet the person outside the military,
I agree.
because you don't know none of the lingo, you don't know none of this information. But one thing that I love about my wife, she got in the trenches with me when I wanted to give up on my VA stuff and stuff.
Mhm.
She was like, no, we can do that. Now I know she wanted to check too, but anyway, but she said,
Hello.
but she was like, no, so stuff that I was getting frustrated with, she was not, because she hadn't been those years of being in the military and see how long they take for this and how long they take for that. So yeah. So how did you overcome that?
Patience.
Okay.
Patience. Same scenario with going in terms of trying to get ratings to go up and things of that nature.
Mhm.
That is a process, and it does it's not seamless. And
Correct.
so it's almost and I don't know if your wife had the same reaction. It's like, my God, these people put their lives on the line. How could
Mhm.
you not?
Mhm. Mhm.
How could you not? How could you not want to provide them with the support they need?
Yeah.
It's just unreal,
Right.
unreal. So I definitely had to have a lot of patience for the process that the
Correct.
VA tries to put you through, and be that person to say, no, let's write one more letter. No, let's
Mhm.
let's set up one more appointment.
Mhm.
Let's do one more thing.
That's
So
good.
it's a 10-year plus process, and
Yeah.
it's not over. The
And
fight is not over.
it pays off in the end though.
Yeah, I saw this. This was a little meme, and it was not the term RoboCop. That's one with
Okay.
Arnold Schwarzenegger where he was like broken down, and
Mhm.
it was a little meme, and it said, "Congratulations, you're 10% disabled." And I'm like, he
Yeah.
ain't got no legs, he just
Yeah.
got the arms.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
The torture that you have to go through to prove that you're not functioning at 100% is just
Mhm.
unimaginable.
Correct. And we have been trained to deal with pain.
Hmm.
We have been
Hmm.
trained when you're in the military, you deal with pain. I saw on one of your pages when the person got all his rucksack on his back, he got everything on his, you know what I'm saying? Now once you come out, your body's really broke down. And what people don't see is the spouses is the one that deals with the everyday waking up in pain, living in pain. That right there. So when y'all out there advocating for us, y'all getting extra frustrated because you don't see, and they really just They don't.
They
You
don't.
know, because I was
They don't.
always told that when I go see my doctor, give them how I felt on my worst day.
Mm.
Because if we go in there, we good. I don't want nobody telling us what to do. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And just as you stated, like you can look at my husband, 6'2", tall, and you would know about his back pain. You would never know. He's a cowboy, trail rider. He
Okay.
does all these things, but you're accustomed to moving in a certain way. And when
Correct.
somebody looks at you, they don't see everything that you've been through.
Right.
You
That's
know.
right.
But as a
Wow.
wife, I can see how you move differently or how you would do things differently. But just from somebody that's just looking at you, they're not going to see everything. So I commend you, him, everybody
Yes.
that has been in that circumstance, in that situation, and it's up to us to continue to make noise to make it better.
Correct. Listen, y'all, we talking to Miss Mira Brady, military spouse to military spouse. And again, we're just giving it from our perspective.
Mhm.
Okay. That's all we're doing.
Absolutely.
We're giving it how we process our traumas, situations a little differently. Because the military
Absolutely.
has a thing called caregiver.
Hmm.
It's a
Hmm.
caregiver program. But with me and my wife, my therapist told me and my wife to change those words,
Hmm.
not from caregiver to partner in recovery.
I like that.
Because when you say partner in recovery, that makes both person have to do something.
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
we partner in this now.
Yeah, your team.
If we're a team, then you got to get your hips up, Vernon, and go take your meds. You
Hmm.
got to get your hips up and go to your therapy appointment. You got to
Hmm.
get up and go to your group therapy. You can't just lay around and expect me to do everything. The spouse.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
Absolutely. It's
that's
definitely a partnership.
correct. And that's what we got to also learn is wording. A lot of things has to be worded differently.
Absolutely.
Has to be worded differently.
And you know
Listen,
what? That
go
goes
ahead.
back to etiquette.
Yes. Ooh, that's
Everything
good.
just goes back to etiquette and respect. So
Okay.
once that's it, once you master that, and it's not 100%,
No,
it's not, and
no.
it's a constant learning. It's constantly learning, and growing together.
Hmm.
I don't have any military experience, but there are some things that somebody might say that that could be said that, and I'll be like, you know what I mean?
Right.
So communication is so important
Very
because if you don't tell me that it bothers you, then I won't know.
correct. Correct.
And then you left frustrated and I think everything is good.
That is the truth. Now, I ain't trying to get personal in you, but have have you and your husband explained to your family what he deals with?
No. Mm-mm,
Okay.
mm-mm.
Okay.
I
I
think his mom knows about his back, but and no.
okay, so it's
Look, they
basically his
will if they listening.
so it's basically his back. Not so. Does he have any PTSD, anything like that?
Oh no, no.
Okay,
No.
okay, okay. See, with me having PTSD,
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
would lot. I had to explain to my family.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
had to let them know, this is my triggers. This is how I am.
Hmm.
And I think, as a therapist, would you suggest that people let family know now? Not let them get in all your business, but
Absolutely, because let me tell you why. It helps break the stigma.
got
And
it.
I think that knowledge is power.
Hmm.
So I can't so we're in a time now where, and I'm glad we're here um as a community and also as an African American community
Hmm.
where help is okay.
Help is
It doesn't
okay.
it does not mean that you are, and forgive me for saying this word, it doesn't mean that you're crazy. You know
Correct.
what I mean?
Correct.
It doesn't mean because I'm going back to etiquette and respect. I don't want to
Hmm.
make sure I don't want to offend anyone.
Correct.
It doesn't mean that something is wrong with you. It just means
Yep.
that you need guidance and you need help to process what you are experiencing. So I say it is very, very positive to have those conversations. Of course, you have to set boundaries.
Yes. There you go.
You have
Come.
to set boundaries, what I'm
Woo!
willing to share and what I'm not willing to
There
share.
you
And
go.
I will be very transparent and tell you, no, I'm not going to discuss that with you.
Correct.
I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to give you a soft answer about it. No.
Man,
And it's okay to say no.
correct. It is amazing. I don't know what the good Lord put in me, but I share it. I guess because I'm a
And we
comedian, I'm on
should.
stage and my platform. But
Mhm.
I tell other people, If it's not comfortable for you to share, don't share.
Right.
But if
Right.
that person means that much to you, share.
Mm-hmm.
Because my best
Mm-hmm.
friends know. They know if we get somewhere and I don't feel comfortable, hey, we jetting. And I don't
Yeah.
feel bad to tell them, hey man, let's round this thing up. I ain't feeling well.
And I tell you that is definitely one thing about my husband. He's gonna tell you how he feel, and how you receive it is up to you.
It's up to you.
He's gonna tell you and how you take it. And there are even times where we have conversations, and he'll have to tell me, get out your feelings, and he receive the message.
Oh my
And I'm
goodness.
like, yeah, he's right.
Right.
He's right. Because just because I'm a counselor doesn't mean I have all the answers.
Correct.
And I'm very transparent about that. There's things that I don't know, that I haven't experienced, but I'm definitely willing to learn. And
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
if there's a situation and he's telling me something, and I'm putting this wall up, and he sees this invisible wall going up, he's gonna say, get out your feelings.
Correct.
And I'm gonna be like, I'm a powerful, I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna be like,
Mm-hmm.
but I know he doesn't mean me any harm.
Correct.
So I
See,
need
that's the
to get
key.
past the emotion, and hear what he's actually saying.
That's the key, that he means you no harm.
Mhm.
And that goes whether you uh in the military, out the military. If
Mhm.
you in marriage, oh yeah, my spouse means me no harm.
No harm. And then
Wow.
once you see that, and then you can really realize that, then you can hear the message and be like, okay, well, he was right about that. Okay, well,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't ready to receive it at that time, but I'm
Correct.
receiving it now. And one of the things that I talked to my son about too, and this is just not necessarily counselor related,
Mm-hmm.
it's just about breaking generational patterns. I'll say patterns.
Yes.
And one of the generational patterns that I wanted to break was being able to tell my son that I'm sorry when
Mm,
I'm wrong, because I'm human. And so there was a
that's right.
time when we had spent the night at my mother-in-law's house, and my son had lost his controller, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I felt like he knew dad was gonna be like, okay, what'd you do with this controller?
Correct.
So that morning we were packing up and getting ready to go, and it was a controller in his bag.
Mm.
And like I said, we were at my mother-in-law's house, and my
Uh-huh.
brother-in-law was there, and that he has a game. And I'm like, I know this boy is not trying to take the controller from over here and bring it back over there. I know I raised him better than that.
Okay.
And I said, Brayden, where did you get this controller from? And he said, at this time, I think it's like 7 or 8. I don't know, it just appeared. Now how that sound? How that sound? It appeared.
To a 7, 8-year-old, sound like the truth.
Right. And so I'm going on, and I'm asking my brother-in-law, I'm like, is this yours? And he looking for he was like, no, it's right here. So I'm like, where did he get this from? And so instead of calling my husband and seeing, his brother called him and was like, hey. And he was like, oh, I put it in the bag that night when I got back from the trail ride. And I felt this small,
Okay. Uh-huh.
but I made sure that I apologized. And I
Correct.
said, Brayden, Mama made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so sorry for that. Let me apologize to you. You did tell me it appeared. I did not believe you, but you're telling me now. And in his mind, he was like, it's okay. He was very receptive, like,
Correct.
it's okay. But I wanted to show him that I'm human. So I said that to say, whether I'm Ryan's wife, Braden, Jalen, Bryce, and Ryan Sebastian mama,
Mm-hmm.
the counselor at my school, whatever it is, I'm human and I'm not perfect.
Correct.
And when I make a mistake, I have no problem standing in it, owning it, learning from it, and then trying to move forward from whatever's happened. And that I'm hoping that that's a generational pattern that I'm able to break, and
That
that
is
my
good.
son, when he has his kids, he's able to say, hey man, dad is sorry. This is how it should have happened.
That is good. I listen, I have said that a many times to my kids, hey, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Hey,
Mhm.
because I'm a product of divorces. So,
Mhm.
I even though, they was going through it with me, I still want to apologize to them because that was not my intention for them to have to be that, with the blended families and stuff. So when a
Mhm.
child can see you apologize, they be like, okay, my parents human. I can tell them anything probably.
Right. And the thing about it is, kind of like you said, we are a product of our experiences. So it's just
Good.
about
That's good.
having those lessons, having those experiences, doing better and moving on, not holding it against them. That's just maybe that's
That's
the way
that.
that she was brought up.
That's true.
Because you're
That's
only a
that is
product
true.
of your experiences.
That's right. And then when you mumble under your breath and they say, ask that crazy question, who you talking to? You think I'm gonna say you?
Right.
I'm not. You think
Right.
I'm trying to die?
Not at all.
I ain't gonna say
Not at
you.
all.
I'm gonna say nobody. Don't ask God. God forgive me for that one.
Nobody, baby.
Listen, y'all, we talking today to Miss Myra Brady, y'all. Military spouse to military spouse, the military spouse counseling services, because when they serve, we serve. Come on, y'all. Let's give it up for these spouses out here. Now, in your military to military spouse, what are you hoping to gain?
I'm hoping to gain another avenue to help.
Okay.
I've always been in a field that has been service oriented. Like I said,
Okay.
before I was a pharmacy technician. And if there was a situation where the pharmacist, and of course, if as long as it wasn't a controlled substance,
Mm-hmm.
wasn't able to get a refill, let's say if it's your blood pressure medicine, then we talk to the pharmacist and we get you 1 or 2 longer pills until the pharmacist is able. I mean, because it's a routine medication that you're going to take monthly.
Okay.
So let's try to get you 1 or 2 pills until it's okayed by your doctor.
Your doctor.
Like I said before, that I was a science specialist. I'm a counselor, so I've always been in the business of serving and helping others. So I'm hoping to gain another community of people to
Okay.
support and provide assistance to, because some of them truly need it.
That's good. That's good. Uh, I want to ask you one or two more questions.
Sure.
Give me a little tell me about the military sorority that you're a part of.
Alpha Lambda Psi Military Spouse Sorority. I don't know how Visionary came up with this idea of just wanting to empower this community.
Mm-hmm.
But it's mind blowing. And we just recently did reefs across America,
Okay.
and it was so fulfilling. Like, the goal is to service,
Correct.
to empower, right?
Correct.
So when we went and I'd never even heard of it. So when we went, it was just so rewarding. Like, I had my 2-year-old out there, and he almost literally fell inside of the box trying to get the read. I have a
Correct.
tape on
Wow.
my Instagram, like, and he was getting them and he was moving them. So the vision that she had in helping military spouses through, like, they constantly post links for jobs.
Mm-hmm.
They constantly post, I think the caretaker that you were talking about, that was posted. So just having a community of like-minded people
Mm-hmm.
is so empowering. And the Line Sisters, that those bonds that I form, like, we laugh all the time, we talk all the time. I'm currently in the chapter that's called Members at Large,
Okay.
because we're trying to get more of us. So Members at Large is basically where there's a sorority member, but it's not a whole lot of us to form our chapter where we are.
Correct.
So it's
Okay.
currently 2 more of us here. And so when we've communicated so many times, like Facebook Messenger, text messages, and phone calls, but to get out there and be together. And one of the ladies brought her husbands out there. It was just, I can't even put it into words. It was very refreshing
Good.
and rewarding, and just being able to communicate with them and learn their life, because I don't know it.
Okay.
I'm learning it, and to
Correct.
see what their experiences are, has just been like a whole new world. I can't sing, but where Aladdin sings a whole new world. Yeah, that right
Correct.
there.
That
It's
right
been
there.
that
Okay.
there
No.
right there. It's been a whole new world, and I've just been fortunate enough to be a part of the organization that does take pride at being a military spouse, and they take everything with it in stride.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And
Mhm.
I found this young lady, y'all, on Instagram. I found her on Instagram. She told me she had did an ad, or you promoted one of your,
Yes.
and I saw her and I was like, I want to get her on my podcast. And then come to find out, the sorority that she's a part of, I happen to know the visionary and did comedy for them twice. So things just work out the way it's supposed to work out.
What I tell you, when you allow the Lord to order your steps,
Come on
you
now.
don't have to do anything extra, because it will come to you. What are the chances of the world doing an ad
Mm-hmm.
and finding a person that's like, okay, I want to talk to her. She seems okay.
Yep.
And then when we talked, it flowed easily, such as it's doing now. It flowed easily. And then when I tell you about Alpha Lambda Psi, you're like, wait a minute. So I do,
Yes.
so
Yes.
and it just continued to just be easy. And so I
Well,
stand on when your steps are ordered, you don't have to work hard.
correct. And I did a background check and everything checked out good. So you were good. I had to do my background check because
You have to.
you know,
So while you was Googling me, I was Googling you,
come
right?
on now, you Googleable.
Right.
You get folks up here and they want to rap, So now let me stop.
Yeah.
But listen,
We gotta do our homework.
Yes, it was great. It was great having you. How can people contact you?
The first place you can find me is on my website. It's Milso to Milso. That's MILSO, the number 2, MILSO.com. So I have a website there. There's a contact form that can be filled out, or you can email me also at milso to milso at yahoo.com. Again, MILSO, the number 2, MILSO at yahoo.com. Or you can shoot me a text message or call. Its number is 832-861-6162. Again, that number is 832-861-6162.
That's powerful. She gave her number out across the world. All y'all
Get into it.
That means she paid her cell phone bill because she know it's gonna always be on.
Get into it. Always.
Listen, Myra, I think I can call you Myra now. You my friend.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you for being on the P.T.S.D podcast, Processing Traumatic Situations Differently, where we come to try to help people know that how you process your trauma differently from the next person is okay.
It is okay.
What is it? You have any parting words for the people?
Hit me up. No, I'm playing. Just to know that mental health is your overall health, and until you're healthy mentally, that you're not going to be able to control any other facet. And to know that it is okay. It is okay to not be okay. Just do pulse checks and self checks and know that if I'm not okay, there's help. And if it's not me, if I'm not your cup of tea, there are other resources I can help you get to, to where you need to be. But it is okay to not be okay. But it's not okay to suffer.
Wow, that's good. Y'all, again, thank you for joining us, y'all. Have a great night, and you are released from the stigma-free zone. Until next time.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to the P.T.S.D podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit follow or subscribe on all podcast platforms so you can stay up to date on new episodes. Until next time, stay stigma-free.